So, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today in this webinar. My name is Carla Duarte and I'm an Innovation Manager at IPN in Portugal. So first of all, I would like to say some words about our situation today. We are living in this pandemic situation across the world, and we all sincerely hope that everything is okay with you and your colleagues and family and friends. And again, welcome and thank you for being here. Today we are presenting how to start up and scale up your business, EU support programs for space tech entrepreneurs. We have with us representatives from the two projects, Astropreneurs and SpaceUp, which are both H2020 projects running since 2018. Actually, Astropreneurs will end in the end of this year, and SpaceUp will continue running during 2021. Both projects support entrepreneurship and innovation for startups and scale-ups, those that use space tech. Today, we are sharing with you our methodologies, the experience that we are getting, the results that we are achieving, and also the benefits for the participants in our programs. Just some housekeeping rules before we get started with the presenters. If you have any question during the presentations, please type them in your question box that appears in the GoToWebinar control panel. And in the end of the webinar, we'll have some time for Q&A, okay? Now, with no further ado, we will start the webinar. Our presenters today are from Astropreneurs side, we have Carlos Cerqueira, which is the Head of Innovation at IPN in Portugal, and IPN is also the Astropreneurs Project Coordinator. And we also have Yanisa Mendes from Kim. She's an ESA broker, and Kim is a Astropreneurs partner based in Spain. And from SpaceUp side, we have Barbara Sembella from Aviaspace Bremen. Aviaspace is the SpaceUp project coordinator. And we also have Eleonora Lombardi from IPETIA and Stefan Kaliman. He is from IBS. These are also SpaceUp project partners. And now we will start with Carlos Cerqueira. Carlos, the mic is yours.
Hi, good morning to all of you. Hope you're all fine. So the idea here is to give a brief overview of the Astropreneur program and, let's say, the opportunities we are tackling in the space economy, and also to give a little bit of an highlight of some cases of startups that we have support, and also to show the complementaries with other projects for them all to fit, like, let's say, pieces that are used together by the companies on their road to the market and their scaling up. Well, Astropreneurs started in 2018 and is going to finish this year. The idea was really to support startups from early stage. That's also one of the things that we agree with the project SpaceUp. Astropreneurs would fit more on early stages. SpaceUp would go better for, let's say, the scaling up, and like that we could support the companies along their road to market, which everyone knows that is a process that it takes some time, and it's not going to be solved just by one project. So we need a coherent strategy in Europe to be able to do that. This is the partnership. So we have partners from Portugal, France, Austria, Germany, Czech Republic, Spain, UK, and Germany. And Belgium. They are all partners that work either as incubators for the European Space Agency, as a big or brokers, or both sometimes. So this is a network that was already used to work, and that was really one of the assets that we could present in this project. The idea is to support the entrepreneurs and the startup early stage, to help them to become more viable business. And we try to help them in, let's say, 3 layers of support by supporting their business capacities. So this means really not only help them with business models and more, let's say, technical things, but also to open doors to customers, which we know is something that startups struggle to, especially in the B2B markets, where the big customers are not always easy to reach. So this was one of the things that we bet a lot in, try to open doors, try to make them more solid in their presentations, to have, let's say, a good value proposition when they approach the big customers, and well, we're seeing the results now. We also have another layer of support in terms of the technology and data sets. This means, let's say, a bit the other way around. So sometimes you have technical people who are brilliant at that aspects, but sometimes they can lack some business skills. So that's where you work with the groups and the startups on the business capacities. But we also can find the other situation where people are already, let's say, know the market, already in the market, but they are just not very, let's say, knowledgeable about space technology, and most of the times they want to use, for instance, Earth observation data or GNSS, and they're just not very knowledgeable about that. So we can also support them in acquiring those competencies. And of course, funding research. This is, let's say, the thing that it's most needed when companies start. So before they have in the customers, and when they need to develop a product, they need either grants or investors, or both, most of the times, and preparing the companies to be, wise in seek funding, both private and public, was really one of the things that we put our effort on. And like a glue that would make this stronger and better, we had also some network activities where we could embed the companies in networks that would help them to go further. So, in a nutshell, Astropreneurs is an accelerator that supports startups, but also a network that makes that support go a little bit further, and especially it bets on the long term. So after we finish the support to the startups, we don't really finish the support to startups, and they belong to a network where they can be supported in their further steps. When the companies enter the acceleration program, normally we are with them 6 months. Actually started by being 3 months, but soon we realized that sometimes when things were getting, interesting, in the sense that we were seeing the results, it was already 3 months. So there would be the will, both from our side and from the startups, to support them a little bit further on the road. So like that, we decided that 6 months would be a format more appropriated. And the idea was to support 150 startups, and we are almost there. Support means being mentored by people with experience, either in the space economy or in the space economy, and or, let's say, a market that the startups are trying to reach, being agriculture, healthcare, or whatever the market is they're trying to reach. So we had also to build a pool of experienced mentors in different areas to be able to support these companies. We're almost at the end, so we have only one more cutoff date to select the companies. So this is also an opportunity for those out there who still want to engage with us to apply. The deadline is on the 27th of May, so we are almost there, but there's still time for you to apply. And The process is very easy. On website, you apply on F6S, so a funding platform where you can do the application, which is a very simple process. And you have all the information in the website, very clear to use. You can also look in our website at the companies we have supported so far, 137. I think it's also important for some of the companies that are willing to engage with us to see their peers. So there's a lot of things that companies can do together, and maybe you can find in this database a partner, a customer, a supplier, someone you can be able to work with. We have also a very wide range of startups that we can work with from different countries, as you can see here in the slides. Our, let's say, scouting sources were mainly incubators and early stage academia. This is, let's say, where most of the projects come and where the talent is. It was also important to look at some prize winners and look how we can support them a little bit further down the road. This is just a glimpse of some of the mentors that we have. We have really a very wide talent pool that can support the companies in very different areas. Now let's look a little bit at 3 cases where we have support the companies in these different layers. So I would start with a company from Barcelona, Asgard Space. Asgard Space is really a new space company. They are doing high accuracy space surveillance and tracking. Their innovation or their value proposition is that their product is more on a ground station than really in the satellite, so they decrease the payload and so it becomes cheaper. So it's really a disruptive product, which is very good, but it also sometimes creates, I wouldn't say a problem, but something the companies have to deal with. So like it is disruptive and new, it can be difficult for the customer, which is, let's say, the companies that launch the satellites and do all that, for them to adopt a very new technology, because people can assume it's a bit risky. So their main need would be to seek funding. We support them in approaching investors, in making applications to different funding programs, and they just recently launched a crowdsourced funding, which was really a successful. They were looking for, this is in Spanish, but I think you can understand by the numbers that it was successful. They were reaching for 200,040 euros, and they already reached almost 3,000 euros. So that was very, very successful. The other example I have here, and they were presenting their let's say their achievements at a very interesting workshop that Astropreneurs organized in Barcelona with the support and the organization of Kim, our partner, our Spanish partner. Another example is a Portuguese company, Materio. Materio has 2 products, one for bridges that use Earth observation data, and another one for, let's say, monitoring aquaculture cages for salmon and other species. We also support them in their funding needs, and well, they were successful by reaching an SMS instrument, which is one of the let's say the goals of the project, training companies to be successful at the SMS instrument, which is very competitive and very difficult to get. And here the support we give is mainly by well, talking to them, assessing the value proposition of the application, doing a little bit of devil's advocate and trying to find the gaps and the inconsistencies in the application, and really prepare them to be more consistent. They also got an ESA business application Kickstart project approved, which now has moved to a demonstrator. So this was really a different types of support, but all in the funding part, and they were able to reach almost 400,000 euros in funding, which is very good for a startup and really allow them to grow a lot. And the last example would be a startup from the Czech Republic, Drone Tag. So they have an IoT device to manage drone fleets, and they were supported in also trying to get more visibility and get more funding. They were selected for the GNSS accelerator, and they were also accepted in as a big Prague as part of the support, so preparing them to apply. And this is also crucial, in their road to the market. So seeking for funding is really a big part of the job we do at Astropreneurs. It's difficult. It's a try and error process, but so the results are there, and we help companies to seek for funding. Not of them are successful because this is not easy, but the results have been appearing, and we have been really helping companies to obtain the fundings, especially at one of the most difficult parts of this path, which is, let's say, when they are starting, and it's very difficult to convince investors to put money on the companies. So this is really helping companies to become viable business case, and I think that's what we are achieving it. So thank you for your attention. This is, let's say, our links for you to know more about Astropreneurs, and now I would pass the word to my colleagues. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Carlos. It was very good to know how Astropreneurs is doing. And now let's move on to Yanisa Mendes from KIM, and she will share with us her experience in delivering the mentoring to many startups also across Europe. Yanisa, it's up to you now.
Thank you, Carla. Hello, everyone. As Carla said, my name is Yanisa Mendes. I'm going to show you how is the process that we follow inside the Astropreneurs project. Okay, so the process is simple. Start with an open call. As Carlos said, our next cutoff is next 27th of this month. The application is really simple, and you can find the link on our website. And of course, after an internal evaluation, the ideas accepted during the call become that we call Astropreneurs or space entrepreneurs. So all these projects ideas receive or are assigned to a project manager. Then we classify them as something that within in the space sector we call as a spin-in and a spin-out. Okay, the spin-ins are those ideas that do not have a link with the space sector, but they want to include them within the sector. For this, our role as project manager is to help them to locate the right mentor that could guide them how to enter in the space sector, and if necessary, we personally help them to create the link with the space sector and or identify some space technologies that they can include within their products or services. This is what we call technology transfer from the space sector to the non-space sector. And spin out are those ideas that already have a clear link with the space sector and want to apply it in another sector. So some of them they have a lack of knowledge about the final sector where they want to apply their solution. So the mentoring process, as I said, begin with this classification, and of course, following by a first contact with the astropreneurs in order to explain how the mentoring process consists, and of course, define the step to follow. Um, uh, the next step is to have first sessions where the needs of the entrepreneurs or where we can identify the needs that the entrepreneur have related with technical, business, funding, and intellectual properties matters. So through this meeting, we establish their needs and their activities and the objective that they have and that want to address through the Astropreneurs program. So as we, as King, like the rest of the partner, we have worked with entrepreneurs who, of course, come from European countries, including countries outside those that are part of the consortium. For example, Greece. It is expected that most of the ideas we work with come from Spain. So, of course, this is just an example of our works, okay, from the King part. And yeah, the most of ideas or projects that we managers came from Spain, but also we have a lot of participation from France and Italy, okay. The mayors of needs that entrepreneurs presented are related or with business and funding, of course. I can say that our experience working with different countries is very satisfactory since we can know new cultures, new forms of organization. We know more closely the entrepreneur environment in each country. We know infinity ways of how the space can be present in different sectors, and I say infinity because as brokers from 3 years ago, there are few opportunities where the same idea is repeated. Therefore, this project is a win-to-win for parties, at least in terms of knowledge. I think that's our experience. And last and not least, the selection of mentors, okay, is very important. Also, sometimes it's critical part of the process, since as you can imagine, each project is a new world sometimes for us. Each entrepreneurs comes with very particular needs, different sectors, different approaches, and of course different scopes, because the ideas have that pass through the Astropreneurs program are in different stage of maturity. So that's the reason why they have different needs to address. Okay. For this project, we have a wide database of mentors with relevant background within the space ecosystems and with the skills, of course, oriented to technical business, intellectual properties, and financing aspects. There are cases in which within this database, we don't have a person with experience within a very specific sector. For example, we have an entrepreneurs who are looking for a person that can help them to understand the fishing sector in northern of Spain. So this is a specific mentor that they need, and we help them sometimes, and in other cases the same entrepreneur, the entrepreneur themselves often help us to search the right person. Okay, so sometimes this is a work from both parts. I think that this is a great experience with many challenges, but for us it's a pleasure to help to these entrepreneurs to carry on their projects and start, of course, all the projects or support them to scale up or to grow up the project that they are starting with us. If you have any question that we can solve it at the end of the webinar, that's all. So, for my part, and many thanks.
Thank you so much, Anissa. It was good to know how you are managing the mentoring process and your experience. And now we will move on from Astropreneurs to SpaceUp, and we will move on from the startup scene to the scale-up scene. We will start with Barbara Sembella from Aviaspace Bremen, and she will tell us all about SpaceUp. Barbara, when you are ready, please go ahead with your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us in this webinar today. I'm Barbara Sembella, and I would like to introduce the SpaceUp program on behalf of the coordinator Aviaspace Bremen to you. And I would also specifically like to thank Carlos and Janisa for setting the overall objective of the Commission in this program, and continue with the organization of the SpaceUp program. Eleonora, do I have control?
Yeah, you can move it.
Yeah. Yes. So the program SpaceUp aims at assisting European space startups in scaling up. Our partners are from Italy, Spain, Germany, and Belgium. And there are Aviaspace, Fraunhofer, ESP, GI Group, IBS Consulting, SME for Space, 200 Crowd, Hypatia, and Lazio Nova. I'm sorry, I can't. Yeah. What is the objective of SpaceUp? We want to ease the transition of European space-related startups to the next level of maturity. As the Astropreneurs project focuses on very young startups, we are focusing on more mature startups. And in order to help those startups, we provide expertise, customized coaching services, one-to-one mentoring, networking, and matchmaking. And all these services are provided in the framework of the so-called space academies. How is the? I'm sorry, I can still only see the first slide here. Eleonora?
Yes.
So sorry, this was a hiccup. So the partners. Okay, now we're at the core activities. So how's the Space Academy organized? It is a 2-day event with one larger conference or trade fair or similar event somewhere within the EU. And the first day of the Space Academy is a closed workshop. And it consists of one-to-one meetings and roundtable meetings. And the second day of the Space Academy is a public event with a keynote and a pitching session where participants can pitch their business case. Next. So how can you participate in a Space Academy? First, you go to the website and follow the instructions. And second, once you find out that you're eligible, you please submit your business plan and pitch. And these business plans and pitches will then be reviewed by an evaluation committee. As a result of the evaluation, we will select 10 startups that will be eligible for funding towards their travel expenses and individual support such as coaching, mentoring, or one-to-one meetings. Next. All applicants, also the ones that are not among the 10 selected applicants, are invited to participate in the Space Academy, but at their own expense. You are always welcome to join into workshop modules like investment readiness, EU funding for SMEs, equity funding, business models, spin-in, spin-out activities, especially how to bring space to non-space back to the non-space sector and vice versa, and information on the European space ecosystem. At this, the 10 finalists of the call will then receive individual services. And for the introduction of these services, I would like to pass on to my colleague from Stefan from IBS Consulting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, everyone. Could you hear me? Yeah. I'm glad to take part at this webinar. So I'm Stefan Kaliman, a project manager from IBS Consulting, Italian SME based in Milan. Briefly, I'm going to present you the path of the startups. One they have been selected. This consists in 3 phases. The first starts. It's about collecting information. We ask to the startups the business plan and to filling in a questionnaire related to the services that will follow to be delivered. The questionnaire has been elaborated by the 4 partners involved within the customized services and consists basically in 16 pages with closed and open question focus on the 4 topics, which are, I remember once again, business model, HR, EU funds, and cross-fertilization. The last one will be presented later on by Eleonora. Once we collected the data, we are able to deliver 4 accurate reports per each startup, containing analysis and recommendation on each specific topic. The content of this feasibility report will represent the starting point for the 3rd phase within the one-to-one meetings. These are usually of 30 minutes frontal discussion between the experts of each SpaceUp partner involved in this stage and the company, for a total of 4 one-to-one meeting per startup. Okay. About the concrete case of IBS, we provide services on EU funds. Sorry, I think it's, yeah. Voilà. So I said EBS provides services on EU funds and credit passport. So concretely, as we said, we start from collecting the information. Then we analyzed all the data collected, and for instance, in the specific case of IBS, once we have all the data, we look where the startup is based, because we had in the previous Space Academies some startups from non-EU. Then we look the type of project, if it's a research of development or productive project. Of course, also the level of maturity, the TRL, which kind of investment they are looking for, if it's material or immaterial, if they need a consortium. And once we have all this information, so we can say we have the picture of the startups, we write the feasibility report. This includes a series of potential funding opportunities that best fits the needs of the specific startups, and the recommendation on the business plan to improve it. The feasibility report is then sent to the startups at least 1 week before the Space Academy, so they have time to read it carefully. And during the Space Academy, we meet the startups, which has the opportunity to raise questions and doubts on the feasibility or on the funding in general. In our one-to-one meeting, we deliver also a service on financial analysis, aiming to assess the financial performance of the startup by delivering a credit passport, which is a document that the startup can use with credit institutions when asking loans and other financial products. This is all from my side. Thank you for your attention, and I will be at your disposal for eventual questions at the end.
Thank you so much, Stefan. Now, Eleonora, it's up to you.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Carla. Good morning, everybody. So my name is Eleonora Lombardi, and I'm the project manager for Hypatia within the SpaceUp consortium. So as was previously mentioned by Barbara and Stefan, what we provide to the companies are the frontal modules for all the companies that want to participate, plus the feasibility studies and the one-to-one meeting for the 10 selected companies. So as Hypatia, since we are a research consortium based in Rome, whose main mission is to work in technology transfer since 2008, within this consortium, what we provide are two main things within this phase. So we provide either feasibility studies on the intellectual property rights. That means that we evaluate the intellectual property of the companies, and we give them a mark, a vote. And based on that, we also help them in reaching out a firm if they still need to patent their technology or their software, or we help them in understanding how to valorize and monetize their patent. Regarding the one-to-one meetings, we are in charge of two main one-to-one meetings because they are strictly interrelated. And these are the cross-fertilization one-to-one meeting and the finance for innovation. So within the cross-fertilization companies, the cross-fertilization one-to-one meetings, the companies will expect to have a feedback on how they can use their space technology in another field or vice versa by participating to the ESA business application program. So what we do first is to give them an overview of these business applications opportunities that are open either to space company and to non-space companies. We do that through also Fondazione Amaldi, that is the Italian ambassador platform, so that help us in defining and helping the companies in this sense. And regarding the finance for innovation one-to-one, what we try to do is to get the companies to understand how the venture capital works. Indeed, the ESA Business Application Program is a program that finances companies for half of the price that they are requesting, while the second half needs to come from third parties. So what we try to do in this case is to give the companies an overall means to present and to access funding, total funding. As you may know, this program is address mainly the use of satellite data. So we also give a brief understanding of what it means to create a business or to implement space technologies within a current business. And that in the end is the main objective. So to give the companies an overview of the public funding and the private funding available to boost their company. So just to conclude, as Barbara was mentioning, our main activities are the Space Academy. So these are events that happen in different cities around Europe, generally in conjunction with another event. So for example, we had one Space Academy in Helsinki during the European Business Angel Network Congress in Helsinki, a second one in Bremen during the Space Tech Expo in November 2019, and now we are trying to reschedule our third Space Academy that was supposed to happen in Rome in March, but now has been postponed in December in Rome. Regarding the Space Academy, there will be a new application open soon, immediately after we know when it will be possible to definitely reschedule the date. Still, regarding the Space Academies, here on the right you can see the other places where the Space Academies are supposed to happen in 2021. So we will have Poland and France, and then we will have Cork, Ireland, and then the final event together with our last Space Academy in Brussels. So I guess that's everything from my side. So if you have any question, please go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Eleonora. Thank you for the Astropreneurs presenters and to the SpaceUp presenters. And now it's time to give voice to our audience. If you have any question, you can write it on the question box. And please state your name, from where are you coming from, and write your question. We don't have yet any question from now. I can start to ask one question to the Astropreneurs project. So, Carlos Cerqueira, you talked about a network. Is this network endure after the project? Can people still engage in the network after? How can we talk? Can you share with us something about this?
Sure. Well, one of the things that is normally important in an HE 2020 project, and one of the most difficult ones, by the way, is the legacy. So what endures when the project is finished, behind the results and the impact that it achieves. And in our case, we realized that the assets of having a pool of mentors plus a database of space startups and the connections that could be made between the mentors, the startups, and on top of that, the corporates and the organizations that we have engaged is really an important asset that by its own justifies a follow-up. We're still fine-tuning the follow-up, but one thing is for sure, the pool of mentors will continue when the project is finished, so in 2021, and it will be available to other startups that want to engage with these mentors. And we are now just looking at the governance aspects of the ownership of this network, but at least that is going to be available. And of course, after getting the consent from the startups, we also will show this pool of startups. That is important because it's not easy to find, let's say, space startups out there, mainly because the own definition of space startups has changed a little bit. So with new space, and especially with downstream companies, a space startup can be a startup that say to the normal view, let's call it like that, is a startup that was in agriculture or healthcare or logistics or something like that. But it's important to understand the technology behind and let's say the group of the sector to where they belong. So we'll keep doing this with or without a project, that's for sure, and people will still be able to engage with.
Thank you, Carlos. We have now some questions from our audience. We have Marco Romero in Toulouse asking if a startup can apply without having the technical capacity to implement the idea. I guess this would be more for Astropreneurs because it's more an early stage. Carlos, can you give, or Yanisa, can you give some insights for Marco?
I'll give a short answer and then Yanisa can follow up. The answer is yes, because we also want to help companies to, let's say, put space assets into their product. So that's one of the supports we provide, and we're very happy to provide.
Yeah, of course, we can help them to find the technical support inside the space sector is needed, or if they need a technical support on other sector, we are open, of course, to find the right mentors to address their needs. Okay.
Okay, we have here another question. Let me see if I understand. Would it cover also a new approach? Propose it also a new approach for astronaut training? I don't know if we are in astronaut training. Anyone want to
I would
reply
say
to this
the answer
one?
is yes as well. What would be needed, let's say, to be accepted? a good business model, and let's say that you show the ability that this is something that can become a business by itself. So I think the point here is, yes, there has to be space, but I think the other point is equal as important, which is, yes, it has the potential to become a business.
Another question to Astropreneurs from Paul Anton from Hamburg. Is there a prerequisite to have a functional product, an MVP, to be accepted in the program?
Well, in Astropreneurs, no. I mean, you just need a good idea and the ability to execute it. And of course, you have to be in space and you have space assets and all that. I think for SpaceUp, maybe Barbara can fine tune this. Probably that would be more required, right?
Yes, for SpaceUp, we have to have a clear space connection as a spin in or spin out, and of course a more matured product and a valid business proposal.
Okay, thank you. So we have one more question from Renee, which is a PhD student in Bremen, and she would like to know if a non-EU citizen living in Germany can apply to the acceleration program. I think this can be also for Astropreneurs, or if it is a company to SpaceUp.
Yeah, the answer is yes as well. I think the point is you have to show the willingness to create an EU-based company. So I think the objective of this project is to increase the European economy, in this case of space. So it doesn't really matter the nationality of the founders. What does it matter is really the nationality of the company. So if it's an European company.
Okay, there is also a comment here that I think both projects can also comment, more than a question. A strong link with the sector group Aeronautics, Space and Defense from EEN is essential for these projects' legacy. Yes, I can say that we have this connection with EEN, but if you want also add something, Carlos and Barbara.
Or Barbara and Carlos?
Yes, Barbara and Carlos.
SpaceUp already collaborates with EN, and we're happy to collaborate even more intensively with EN, and especially with the sector group Astut. Okay. So yes, please come and see us directly, and we can discuss this in depth.
Another again, Marco from Toulouse is asking if the European startups can implement their business outside the EU territory.
Well, yes, that's for sure. I mean, we want to support global companies. Of course, let's put it like that in a more, let's say, direct way. The business can be outside. The income has to stay in Europe. So if you know what I mean. So I think the point is really to increase what the startups are doing here. But the markets, well, for this type of company, yes, they have to be global.
Okay, that's good. One more question from Maud in Amsterdam. When do you consider a startup more eligible to Startup Accelerator instead of Astropreneurs? Maybe Barbara?
Well, I don't think there is an either or. My understanding is that, and should be a question for Carlos, that Astropreneurs will take care of all startups.
Yes, I think. Well, there are always cases that can go both ways. I mean, if you have an idea in a PowerPoint, you're clearly Astropreneurs. If you are already looking for Series A's of investments, you are clearly SpaceUp. If you are somewhere between, well, apply to both. Just tell us that you are applying to both, and then we can decide which program suits you better, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, And we have here a long question from Ricardo Tavares da Costa. So he is saying that for a long time he's thinking about building a startup with Earth observation and beyond. He has the scientific and technical qualifications to do the product. He's thinking about the strategy, the funding, and so on, but he completely lacks the business skills. So how to write, for example, a business plan or find the right funding. Would one of these programs accept him? Should he apply or not? What will be your advice?
Well, accepting has to do with the tender evaluation board, so we cannot say that in advance. But if it fits in, let's say, what these programs intend to do, I guess the answer is also a clear yes. I mean, that's what these projects are intended to do, is support you in where you feel you have a need. And if this case is funding, let's say, competencies or business capabilities, that would be the type of support that we provide.
Okay, we have here also someone asking if we can assist the Astropreneurs in the registration process. For sure, I think so. We always support when people have doubts. We always support them in registration process. So it is okay. And we have also a question from from Stefano Alvaric in Tallinn. Can a startup which currently part of an ESABIC join the SpaceUp? Question for Barbara.
Definitely. Please sign up for the next Space Academy. And if you see any value in taking part of the last call of Astropreneurs, you may also do that. It's these programs are not either or. These programs can also be end-end.
So thank you, Barbara. So I'm not seeing no more questions from the audience. So, and we are right on time to finish our webinar. I would just give a final word to our presenters. Let's start a little bit by the end. Eleonora, do you want to give a last message to the audience?
Yes, I mean, I would like to thank you, everybody. I just wanted to add one thing, if it can be helpful to clarify a bit. So you should be applying to SpaceUp once you have a business model and you are starting to generate revenues, right? While for all the, as Carlos was saying, ideas and starting up your business, it is Astropreneurs. However, as Barbara was saying, they are not either or, but you can apply to both, especially if you are finishing your ESABIC incubation phase.
Thank you so much, Eleonora, for being here with us. Stefan, a final word?
Yeah, thank you. Well, yeah, Eleonora complete what I would say. Well, I think everything was already said, and yeah, if someone has need to be assisted on more in detail on how the Space Academy works or on the application on the website, can contact us, and we will glad to help him. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stefan, for being us. Barbara.
Well, first of all, thank you for all the participants and for organizing this webinar, and all the persons that are interested in joining either Astropreneurs or SpaceUp. Please contact any one of us. We will help you to talk to the right person, and we will help you to get through the process. And if you would like to be on some mailing list, please let us know, and so that we can keep you posted on the Space Academies, because as you've seen, we were forced to postpone Space Academies and the dates are still floating, and we can keep you updated. Thank you.
Oh, Barbara, thank you so much. Thank you so much to everyone in SpaceUp, and best wishes for you. And now, Yanisa, do you want to give a final word to the audience?
No, just to say thank you to join this webinar, and I encourage you to participate on our next call. Okay, and don't close your mind. Be open.
Thank you, Yanisa. Carlos, a final word, please.
Well, thank you to everyone who has been here. Just a final thought. I think we have seen that making a business, it's a path along the way. Don't look it as a kind of 1-0 activity. You are going to develop your idea. If you leave it at the middle of the road, that's fine as well, because this is the process. But just try it. I mean, there are so many instruments and opportunities in Europe for you to develop your idea that you should give it a try and see what comes out.
Okay, Carlos, thank you so much. Thank you so much to all the presenters and to the audience. Just a final words. So we are going to send you all an evaluation questionnaire about this webinar, a simple Google form. It won't take more than 5 minutes to fulfill. And as always, your opinion is very important and valuable for us. If you have any doubts or you want to contact the projects, you just go to our websites and get in touch. You can also follow both projects in our social media, and we also have newsletters that you can subscribe. So therefore, this way you can stay informed about everything that is going on. And finally, we are going to upload the recordings of this webinar in Astropreneurs and SpaceUp websites, and also we will share them later on our social media. Thank you all for joining us today, and we hope we can see you in the next webinar that each of the projects will organize. And take care and keep safe, and thank you again for being here. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.